Newly released footage from Moscow of Russian Air Force Su-35 multi-role fighters getting airborne and, according to the information supplied with the film, getting involved in the special military operation, or as we know it, the invasion of Ukraine. Whether that missile was sent to destroy a military target in the air or on the ground, or to kill civilians by design or accident, there's no way of knowing. What we are certain of course, is the immense suffering of the people of Ukraine who are being attacked. There are growing calls for a no-fly zone to be installed over the Ukraine, which would at least remove the threat from the air. But NATO, fearful of escalation into full conflict between the alliance and Russia, says a categoric no. But could there be a relatively risk-free way around the problem, using the United Nations?
That's how we've always done it in the past. Every no-fly zone I've been on has been a UN-authorised one. It clearly gives you a whole different mandate. The General Assembly, not a week ago now, voted with 141 members for Russia to leave Ukraine. That's a pretty strong mandate. And I think it's important that this is seen to be Putin against the world, not Putin against NATO, which of course is what he might want to play it as. And I think that's what's spooked NATO a little bit. And therefore it's important to give it that badge of authenticity and an international flavour.
But even a UN-mandated no-fly mission would certainly use air assets from NATO countries. Pictures here from last August of the RAF involved in NATO air policing in Romania. NATO countries have the experience in the type of policing needed to operate a no-fly zone. So the risk remains of NATO and Russian forces coming into direct contact, potentially triggering an Article 5 situation where a downed NATO jet counts as an attack on all NATO countries, throwing the alliance and Russia into direct conflict. Again, though, there could be ways around this if the political will was there.
Here's the way around that. Firstly, it becomes a UN operation. So Article 5 isn't really it's sort of at play here. The second thing I would do is that I would suspend Article 5, and I'd make it clear to the Russians that I would suspend Article 5 for those aircraft participating in the no-fly zone. So if a miscalculation took place, or even deliberate engagement took place, we'd be pretty hacked off, but it would not trigger Article 5. We've already done that in Syria. I mean, as I said earlier, the operation there does have Russian and RAF aircraft flying in relatively close proximity in a third party's airspace. And if there was a miscalculation, we wouldn't trigger Article 5.
French jets patrolling the skies over Poland, another example of the NATO alliance's prowess in air policing. But if these jets were to relocate for a no-fly zone, what benefits could that bring?
You don't have to do it over the whole country, so you could actually have a limited one that only looked, let's say, at the west of Ukraine, and therefore would be purely for humanitarian reasons. And I think it would still need to be defended, but we're not seeing too much air activity over the west of Ukraine that I'm aware of. I think that's one that, for example, that would stay well below a threshold. But if you were looking to go further, looking to go into Ukraine proper, then what might it achieve? Well, it could keep Russian aircraft out of the fight. That would allow a number of things. It means Russian aircraft couldn't attack anywhere in the country, or helicopters for that matter. It would allow the Ukrainian Air Force to operate, and that's quite an important point.
According to the Russians, these tanks are rolling towards Kyiv, a portent of further suffering for the civilian population. And their bombardment, when it comes, will likely be supported by Russian military air assets, unhindered except by the actions of the Ukrainian military. Tim Cooper, Forces News. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.